I'm a passionate believer that ICH does contribute in many ways to sustainable development. We have sort of inherent ICH culture around, say, Gaelic, the Gaelic language, but also the culture that is associated with Gaelic. We have a project on the Western Isles in Stornoway where they are opening the first sort of entirely Gaelic interpretation in a centre there. And what it's drawing upon is saying the islands have a tradition of resilience, of weathering the storm, shall we say, from living out on these remote islands that is now very relevant to today's world. So they are perhaps one of the example of that, a concrete example, is they are very much early adopters of new technologies. So they open their arms to the new technology, and I think that is very much based on that willingness to look forward. And the Gaelic sort of tradition is very much an oral tradition. So things are easily communicated, and they have adopted, shall we say, the international technology that allows them to talk to the world very easily and openly. So they are at the forefront of sharing broadband technology in the outer islands. Skye is another example. Solmaroskig is the large Gaelic centre there, and there is a University of the Highlands and Islands that is using itself as a tethering point, so broadband can be connected to all of the very tiny remote islands. And I think that kind of development is, you can link it directly to the ICH practices that are alive and well in these remote communities. So you have gatherings of people, you have strong oral traditions and culture around that Gaelic tradition, which is sustaining us today and making us much more I think accepting and open to possible developments in the world. And I think, you know, at the base of all that is a sort of intercultural dialogue, mutual understanding. So another example of a project we've done where you're using the ICH almost to build intercultural dialogue is we had a project of Congolese refugees who came to Scotland. So you can imagine how different Scotland would be from their homeland, and these women, we got them to sit down with a group of writers from Scotland, women writers, a small local group, just ordinary women, and they exchanged understanding around their cooking and their childhood objects. So that was the starting point, but what they were exchanging with cultural practice of their culinary expertise, and that was a point of connection. And people suddenly realised they had more in common than they had difference. And that is, I think, again, a concrete example where ICH, you know, it's the meaning that it brings to things is fundamental to the way we approach sustainable development, the way we look to the future. And I think that is, that's really what I'm sort of passionate about, that it can do that. And what I'm also passionate about, and in our own NGO of Museums Galleries Scotland and in our work, we are passionate about the convention because at the heart of the convention is community and a way of working with the community that is equitable, it's in partnership, that is at the heart of the convention. So as an organisation we have adopted that as part of our values and the way that we want to work with communities in Scotland and the way we do work. Museums you think of as tangible, but actually the museums in Scotland are cultural hubs that actually the community is perhaps almost more in touch with the intangible at times than the tangible because of the nature of the museums there, that they are community owned largely and they are community run. So it's the community that decides the direction of the museums in many of the museums in Scotland.